Hi guys, it's Paula and I hope you are doing well. This is going to be part 2. Dang it, I need to double check. I've already forgotten. Yep, this is going to be part 2 of my makeup inventory. This is the 3rd video in this series, but this is part 2 for makeup of my 2023 inventory. In this video, I cover bronzers, highlight and blush, as well as palette, like face palettes. And I would say that if there was a theme for this section of my inventory in particular, it is that despite owning most of this makeup for a very, very long amount of time, I still don't know what the heck I have and what it does. I'm still discovering so much about these products. What you're gonna see in this section is that a lot of stuff didn't come in. I think, in fact, only 3 pieces in total came into this entire part of my inventory. Should anything have come in? No, I shouldn't have brought anything in, but 3 pieces did come in. So not a lot of stuff came in, but there was a lot of movement from one category to another as I used these products over this past year and realized that what I thought was a blush was actually a bronzer, and what I thought was a bronzer was actually a highlight. Like, I'm still discovering, and even as I was filming this, I was finding more mistakes. Like, there is a foundation powder in my highlighter category, but I just left it in there because I've already posted the video of my foundation powders, and so I wanted to account for it. But oh my gosh, it's a telling sign that you might own too much makeup if you don't even know what it is. 1, because you haven't played with it in a long time, or 2, you haven't used it ever. There's still a lot of untouched makeup in my collection. So I was also kind of going through like, oh, here's a lovely blush or highlighter or bronzer, I don't know, that's still in its sealed. I haven't used it, so that's fun. Anyways, this is going to be part 2 of my makeup inventory. I hope you guys enjoy watching. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. And if you'd like to see what my collections look like for bronzers, highlighters, and blush, please keep watching. All right, let's get part 2 of my makeup inventory started for 2023. Hi guys, we are kicking it off with my cream bronzers. I currently have 5. I had 6 last year, which means this category went down. I finished off an e.l.f. palette. So I actually eliminated an entire palette. It had 4 shades, and it was originally marketed as a concealer palette for people of darker skin tone. However, I thought it would make a nice cream bronzer, and it did. It was lovely, and I think it cost me $6 a million years ago. So that is gone, and I am left with these 5. I'm currently working on this one. This is my Laura Geller Whipped something bronzer, air whipped bronzer. It's no longer whipped, but it still works, and I'm enjoying it very much. I'm hoping to have that finished off sometime this year and be down to 4. I think once I finish that bronzer, I'm finally going to attack my Mascara Beauty products. I have 4 pans of Mascara Beauty products. This is the contour bronzer, and then I have like a yellowy concealer shade, a blush shade, and a highlight shade, and I want to work on them all together, and I feel like I never can make that jump to working on all 4 at the same time because I'm always working on something in one of the categories. So I think I've decided that once this bronzer's gone, I'm going to jump to these and enjoy them for a while. I haven't used them in a long time. Hopefully it will be a good color match for me. I don't know, we'll see. But I'm really happy this category went down by 1 this year. This part of my inventory is going to be my depotted bronzers. There's been a lot of changes, not because I bought any, not because I depotted any, but just because I discovered that some pans that were lurking around in my depotted blush palettes were actually bronzers, and I never realized that until I put the palettes into Project 10 Uses and actually put them on my face. It's a good idea to do that every now and then. So the top row are the 7 that were part of this inventory last year and the year before that, and probably every year before that. These bottom 3 are the ones that were in blush palettes that are clearly not blushes. This one maybe could go either way, but I like it more as a bronzer than a blush. Doesn't have a name to it. So I am a little bit disappointed that this category went up by 3, but honestly, it's just a lateral move, and I have way more blushes than bronzers. So in a weird way, it kind of evens things out a little bit in a satisfying way. I have millions of bronzers and I have millions of blushes. I have lifetimes worth. So I'm not currently working on any of these, unfortunately. I say this every year, but I would love to work on one of these. I would absolutely love to. But right now, as of this moment in time, I don't have plans to put any of these in a project, unfortunately. Hopefully something will open up throughout the year. But yeah, my number went from 7 to 10. Okay, here are my single bronzers. These bronzers are all in little compacts. So they're not depotted, but they're not in a palette, and they're all pressed. I have so many categories of bronzers. There's been a lot of movement for this category over the past year. Overall, my count at last year was 25, and this year we're down to 24. But 3 bronzers went out of this category and 2 went in. The first one that went out was a Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer that I finished. I actually panned a bronzer last year and it's out. The second is a Lorac Tantalizer bronzer that I gave away to Jamie. So she's got that bronzer now, and I don't think she's going to be giving it back. But if she does, I'll just reflect that in my numbers. And the third is a bronzer that was actually a loose bronzer and should have never been in this picture last year, but I didn't catch that. So I just moved it to the loose bronzers, which I'll be talking about in just a minute. The 2 that came in are these 2 right here. This is the Too Faced Bronzed and Poreless bronzer. This was in my face powder category, and when I opened it up and looked at it, I realized it was a bronzer and not a face powder. And this is a Tarte bronzer blush that I've had in my blush inventory for years. And I put it in a project this year and decided I really like it more as a bronzer than a blush. So I decided to move it over to this category. All in all, I own probably 3 or 4 times more blush than bronzer. So in theory, I'm going to pan my bronzer collection before my blush collection. So I'm happy, even though it's just a lateral move, I'm happy to have 1 more bronzer and 1 less blush because it kind of like gets closer to evening things out, even though I still have way too many of both. So I will open all these up in just a minute so you could see them because I just remembered I said I was going to start doing that. So let me open them up in a minute and show you what they look like open. Okay, here they are all opened up. As you can see, I have quite a variety. There's both matte and shimmer bronzers in here. I don't mind either. I like both depending on the situation. In the winter, I might go for a more shimmery bronzer. In the summer, I'm probably going to go for matte. This one right here might be a highlighter. I'm honestly not even sure what it is. If you have this, it is called Gradient Glow from Becca. If you have this, let me know if it's a highlighter or a bronzer. You know, of course, it doesn't matter what they call it. I'm going to put it in the category that I use it for. And if I prefer to use it as like a shimmery bronzer, that's the category it'll stay in. But to be honest, I don't know if I've ever even used it. I need to put that in Project 10 uses and test it out. This is a blush that Liz, who is Shiny Happy Pans, gave me last year. And it's a beautiful bronzer. Kind of gives me that ready sunburn look that I love. I didn't open this Chocolate Soleil because I have several of them here. That's a Chocolate Soleil. That's a Chocolate Soleil. Speaking of Chocolate Soleil, I think I would like to try and pan this. I put about a year's worth of work into this bronzer a few years ago. And I feel like even though there's no sign of pan, I might be able to pan this year if I work on it for a second year. It's just a deluxe sample. I mean, I should be able to pan it in 2 years. I do consider myself to be relatively good at panning bronzers compared to like blush or highlighter. So yeah, I think I'd like to put it in a project. Since finishing my butter bronzer from Physicians Formula, I haven't really worked on any of these other than this one, but at this moment in time, I'm not panning any of these. But I would like to see if I could put this in a project for this year and maybe pan it and keep getting this category down some more. But yeah, I'm very, very happy that despite the fact that 2 other powders moved into this category, it still went down by 1. So we are at 24. Okay, here's my inventory of loose bronzers. I had 4 last year and I went up to 5 this year. I did not buy any loose bronzers, nor was I given any for review. I just moved this one to this category. This was accidentally put in my single, my bronzer single category, the last category I just talked about, but it really should have been in here all along. This is an old Benefit bronzer that Liz gave to me all the way from the UK. I love it. This is the Bare Minerals bronzer that I worked on for a good chunk of last year. I did a lot of damage to it. However, there is an absolute ton of product still in there. I did figure out through trial and error that the best way for me to use that powder is to mix it with something lighter. I've been mixing it with a, well, I was calling it a highlighter, but it's too dark to be used as a highlighter. But it's another Bare Minerals loose powder that's much lighter. And mixing the two together along with a little bit of loose face powder has been absolutely perfect. That suggestion actually came from a few of you guys, so thank you. Thank you for that. This is a this is a Laura Mercier powder that was sent to me for review. And now that I'm looking at how light it is, I actually think this would mix well with the Bare Minerals bronzer as well. So I'm going to try and keep that in mind. This is another Bare Minerals warmth. So I have Bare Minerals warmth just coming out my ears. But yeah, this category technically went up to 5, but not because I bought anything, just because I moved this over to this category. Oh, and these are from Mary Kay, if I didn't mention that. These are little, I don't know. Have any of you ever panned those? That's another product that kind of scares me. And I know it's not technically loose, but it's definitely not pressed, so I put it in the loose category. But yeah. These are all of my loose bronzers. Okay, here is my one and only bronzer palette. I would argue that one bronzer palette is enough for anyone. I certainly feel like it is for me. This is called the Too Faced Little Black Book of Bronzers, I believe. And I did not work on this at all this past year. I have previously hit pan on this shade here. And the rest of these are in like new condition. They are smaller pans, but I've been preferring to work on my singles much more than attacking this entire palette. I did like this shade very, very much. It was in my 50 Shades of Purple project. So I guess I did work on it last year, but it was at the beginning of the year. Yep, I don't think I had that pan at last year's inventory. It must be a new one. But yep, still at 1, no big changes. Okay, here's my inventory of highlighting sticks, highlight sticks. We are at an all-time low. I've never had only 7 of these before. I've had somewhere between 8 and 11 over the last 6 inventories. So I'm very, very excited. And actually it was 8 for like the last 3 years. So I'm very, very excited that this went down by 1. I finished a highlight stick from Josie Marin. And despite the fact that I don't love a stick form of highlight, they do go pretty quick. I'm not currently working on any of these. I went to a little e.l.f. shimmer palette that you'll be seeing in just a minute. But I should get back to these soon because I do feel like I could pan these quicker than a lot of the other formats of cream highlight. Yeah, so I'm really happy that this category went down by 1. And we are at 7. Okay, this is my second retake of the inventory, so if you're keeping track, go ahead and take a shot. This is my category of liquid illuminators. I had 19 last year and this year I have 20. So my category went up by 1. I spent the majority of last year kind of partially working on this Mary Kay liquid illuminator. It was good, but I kept trying to use it for things that it's not. I tried mixing it in with foundation and I tried using it as like a base under foundation, and it was just too glowy. And in the end, I finally realized that the best way to use it is as a cream highlight. Unfortunately, I was working on another cream highlight all year long, so this one always played second string to whatever else I was working on. So I didn't make a ton of progress. I did add this one to my collection. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light Wand in Spotlight. I haven't used it yet. It's still untouched, but I'm excited to try it out and see what I think of it. Overall though, this is a category I don't think I really need, or maybe I want to only have one of. This is way too many. My goal is to get this category down to somewhere between 0 and 1. And it ended up going up by 1 this year. So as of right now, I don't have plans to put any of these in a project, but I hope to. I hope to put one of these in a project and use them up. Wish me luck. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the magician that pulls the colored ribbons or the colored scarves out of his sleeve, and it just keeps going and going and going, and just when you think it's going to stop, it keeps going. But that's kind of how I feel when I'm bringing out like group after group of highlighters, and I haven't even gotten to the powder highlights. I'm still dealing with the cream and liquid highlights. I just feel like I'm just pulling the scarves out of my sleeve. But this is my category of cream highlights. I had 19 last year. I have 19 this year. These are the same 19. Nothing has changed. Other than the fact that I am now working on this e.l.f. shimmer palette right there. I'm currently panning that in my Partners in Cream project. And as you can probably see, I've hit pretty good pan on one of the shades. I'm guessing that that little palette might take me the majority of 2023 to pan, and I'm just going to keep working on it. This MAC cream highlight and this Prescriptives are probably 2 of my oldest highlighters, and I would love to put them in a project. I'd also like to work on this one right here from ColourPop called Spoon. That one is kind of calling my name. But to be honest, they're all kind of calling my name. I've mentioned this before, but this is a mascara beauty highlight, and I do want to work on these this year as well. And it's part of a set that comes with a contour, a matte highlight, a cream blush, and a cream highlighter, which is this one right here. And so at some point this year, when I eventually finish the cream bronzer I'm working on, I'm going to take a pause and work on those 4 products all at once and see how far I can get with them, because I've been saying I'm going to do that for years and it never happens. But I think I've probably told that story 2 or 3 times already today. So these are my cream highlights, and I'm not opening them all up just because I don't want them to dry out. But yeah, I'm still at 19. Okay, here are my loose highlighters. I had 9 last year and I have 9 again this year. I tried, guys. I put this one in my Let's Get Loose project pan, and I did not finish it. I didn't even probably use half of it. There's still so much left. I will open it up in just a second to show you. But while trying to pan this last year, I discovered that this isn't a traditional face highlight in the way I think of a face highlight. It's not shimmery enough, and it's a little bit too deep for me to use as a face highlight. I also tried to use it as an all over like glowy powder, and it was a little too glowy for that. And in the end, the way I've made the most progress with this product is mixing it in with a loose bronzer and using it as a loose bronzer once it's mixed in with Bare Minerals Warmth. This is the shade Pure Radiance, by the way. So I'll open it up for you guys right now so you can see what it looks like. there it is right there. I think you can see how golden it is. Yeah. And I think you could see how much product is in there. So I still got a long way to go. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I really want to try to find a way to keep working on that loose bronzer mixture that I just keep making from this and Bare Minerals Warmth. So I'm going to see if I could find a project to put it in. I am no longer doing the project Let's Get Loose. That project ended on December 31st, but I would like to find some project to put that in. So that's the plan. And once I use this up, I'm probably going to take a break from these because I would just like to see this category go down. It's been at 9 for 3 years now. So if I can get it down to 8, I will, give myself a little break from loose highlights and go back to another form, probably a highlight single, because I need to get that category down. But yeah, we're still at 9 for loose highlights. Okay, here they all are. They barely fit on my little baby blanket. These are all of my highlighting singles. Can you turn that down, Hayes? The current count of my highlight singles is up to 55. It went up by 2. So it was 53 last year and it's 55 now. This one is new. It's the Fenty Diamond Bomb. I bought that with Ulta points. And, oops, sorry, my finger got in the way. And this one got moved from my blush category to my highlight category because after I used it, I realized it was really a highlighter and not a blush at all. And focus. It's not gonna focus. I did, it was really stuck to my magnetic palette and it chipped a little in the corner, but that is definitely a highlighter and not a blush. So this category went up by 2. 55 is ridiculous. 45 is ridiculous. 35, it's really, really ridiculous. I do have a lot of variety here. I guess there's a lot of variety here. That's not really a good excuse. There's also a lot of same here. So, currently I have this Becca highlight in my Winter Shop My Stash. I have this Fenty highlight in Project 10 Uses. I just put this Becca highlight in Berlin Girl Glow in 54321. I have this Wet n Wild highlight in the Panner's Pan. And this is the remainder of my Laura Mercier highlight sample that's been in Beauty A to Z. Of course, I do have a little bit more product in a separate container, but for the purposes of inventory, I'm just pulling this out to represent my Laura Mercier highlight. I do still have some product here too that I'm gonna have to deal with. Focus! But I'm working with the loose powder right now, as you probably know. I have another full-size Laura Mercier highlight in 01, so I'll be okay once I finish that little guy. I'm gonna survive. So these 1, 2, 3, 4 are the ones I'm currently working on in projects. I mean, that's a lot right there, but plenty. While I was putting these out, I realized that this is not a highlighter, but I've already covered this category, so I'm gonna leave it in here for this year just to take it into account. But this is moving into my face powders next year. I don't know why I've had this in my highlighter category all this time. This is probably because I saw the word illuminating. It is the Baked Balance and Glue Illuminating Foundation in medium. Again, medium. Who am I buying medium foundations? I don't know. Who do I think I am? But yeah, this is a face powder, a powder foundation. And I swatched it. And there is, can you see that brown streak on my hand? That's a swatch of it. It is not a highlighter. So not quite sure what I was thinking there. And it's too dark for me, of course. Maybe in the summer it'll probably work. I do get a little tan. So this is going to move to my face powder category, and my count will go down to 54 immediately. But I already posted that video, so I'm gonna leave it here for now. But yeah, we are technically for today at 55 highlighters. Once I finish the Laura Mercier, I have no idea what I'm gonna work on next, to be honest. It's been so long that I wouldn't even know where to start. I guess it'll depend on what time of the year it is and how tan I am before I can decide. But we'll see. You know, I'm really glad that one of you guys suggested I start doing this with the palettes open. It's really cool to see everything out and open at once. I'm really having fun. But anyways, this is my inventory of highlight palettes. There's been no changes here. I had 11 last year and I have 11 this year. Nothing went out, nothing new came in. I am currently working on this highlight palette from Sleek. It's in pan in every palette, and I'm trying to hit pan on that corner of the purpley shade, which you can tell I have not yet done, but I'm getting closer every time I use it. I was thinking about this Moonchild palette the other day because I dug out that corner when I did a video about how to pan black eyeshadows, and I mixed that with some black eyeshadow to make a much more wearable color. However, this is not currently being counted as pan in every palette because I don't feel like I hit pan the honest way. So I either need to use up that mixed up new eyeshadow I made so that I could say I hit pan for real, or I need to try to hit pan in one of the other colors of this palette so I can say I really hit pan. I think you could tell it looks practically brand new other than that major chunk taken out of it. I did have this Cover FX palette in Project 10 Uses this past year, so that got a little bit of love. I would love to work on that ABH palette in some way. I haven't touched that in years, and that's a nice palette. This Smashbox palette, brand new. I can look at it and tell. You could see every speck of the pattern on there. It hasn't been used even once. That's a shame. The idea of panning an entire highlight palette is very, very intimidating to me. But I would like to try and do that one day. But here they are, same 11 from last year. Okay, we're moving on to blush. This is my inventory of cream blush. I had 47 last year and I have 47 this year. I did actually finish a cream blush. It was a very, very, very old L'Oreal cream blush. In fact, it was so old that I couldn't really use it up as a cream blush. I just mixed it in with my foundation and used it as like a cream bronzer because it had kind of changed color. Probably should have thrown it out, I know, but I couldn't do it. So that one did leave my collection, but this one came in. This is a deluxe sample or a mini of the Charlotte Tilbury Glowgasm Beauty Light Wand. I have used this 10 times. I really enjoyed it, and I don't want to say I'm glad to have it, but it's a nice cream blush. What I'd be happier about is if this number went down, but it didn't. I am currently working on this Maybelline Dream Bouncy blush. I've put in 2 full years of this blush, and this is how much I still have left. I'm hoping that 2023 will be the year that this goes down and that it won't take more than 3 years to finish it. But it's a pretty pigmented peachy blush, and a little bit goes a long way. And that's where I'm at. I did also pull this Tarte Doll Face into my Winter Shop My Stash And I'm hoping to roll this into Project 10 Uses as kind of like a palette cleanser, because when this is all you use every single day for years and years, it gets a little bit boring. This is going to be the fourth time I've mentioned this, so sorry, but this is a mascara blush, and this goes with the other 3 products that I'm hoping to pan all at once. I can't remember what this is called. I kept all the names somewhere so I can reference it at some point if I need to. But yeah, I'm hoping to do the whole like mascara system this year once I finish the cream bronzer I'm working on. And I'm hoping that I will finish this year as well. So we'll see. That's a lot. But 47 cream blushes. Okay, here are my depotted blushes. This category changed quite a bit over the past year. Not so much because I used anything up. In fact, I don't think I worked on any of these blushes at all, other than in Project 10 Uses. But through Project 10 Uses, I did discover that some of the pans of powder that I was calling a blush were not a blush at all. 3 of them ended up becoming bronzers, and 1 of them moved to my highlighter category. So you would have seen them all already, but they are no longer part of my depotted blush inventory. So this category went from 52 to 48. Still a little bit high. I went on quite a depotting kick at one year because my blush drawer wouldn't close because there were so many blush singles or blush compacts. And so I bought a crap ton of magnetic palettes and just went crazy. And it was a lot of fun. I would like to depot more, but unfortunately all of my magnetic palettes are currently full. So I need to use up some of these if I want to do more depotting. But with that being said, I don't have any of these in a project at this moment, and I'm working on a blush single to pan this year. I've already picked it out and put it in my Panner's Pan project, so I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with these. Hopefully I can find a way to work on them, but golly, I have way too many blushes for just one face. But I'm happy that this number is technically down by 4, even though I didn't use any up. By the way, my inventory for these blushes had been at 52 for like 5 years. 4 years. So, I guess any change is good. Okay guys, this might be the most exciting post of this video. This is my inventory of loose blushes. I had 14 last year. I've had 14 for the last 3 years, excuse me. And I am officially down to 13. I finished a loose blush this year. Granted, it was super tiny and it was smaller than every single one of these blushes, but I don't care because this inventory is going down by 1. There are some really pretty shades here. There are some really super neutral. Most of it's super neutral with a couple of fun little pops of color, but for now, I have 0 plans to work on any of these. It was a long year of panning a very, very tiny container of loose blush, and I would like to not do that a second year in a row. That being said, I'd like to come back to these at some point and try to pan them again, or some of them, or one of them. But for now, I'm going to give my loose blush inventory a rest. I've mentioned this in previous inventories, but this is a big, huge jar of broken blush. And maybe bronzer and highlighter too, I don't know. This empty jar was once a Clinique Moisture Surge. So this is a big jar. And I have pressed some of this loose powder into empty pans over the years, but oh my goodness, that's bananas. It's like a little powder graveyard. But yeah, really happy that this category went down by 1. Okay, let's keep going with blush. This is my category of what I describe as matte blushes. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. They're not like divided up by cool tone, warm tone, but if they're matte, they're in this category. There's been no change. I had 44 last year. I have 44 today. It's the same 44. I didn't work on these at all. I don't think any of them even made it into project 10 uses, to be honest. Did this one? Did I work on this one in a project? Yeah, I did. Okay, I lied. Nope. Nope, I didn't work on that. I should open them up so we could see it, get a better look at some of these. I'll open a few of them up in 1 minute. But yeah, not much has changed. Same 44. Okay, I opened some of them up, not all of them. Those little books are, they just want to stay closed. So it would be difficult for me to keep them open. You know what? Shoot, maybe I could open these. Okay, I didn't open everything up, just the ones that were really difficult to see with their outer packaging. These little book ones from the Balm don't want to stay open, so I wasn't able to open those up. But hopefully that gives you a better idea of the kind of colors I own. This one from Cargo looks super pretty. They all look super pretty. That's the problem. Yeah, so currently I'm not working on any of these, and at this moment in time, I don't have a plan to work on any of these. Like I said, I've said this already, but I've pulled another blush to work on this year and pan, so that's probably going to be my main focus for the entire year, if not all of next year as well. So hopefully I can get to one of these soon. Okay, here are my cool toned shimmery pink blushes. I have so many blushes that I have to divide them up into subcategories because I was in quite a collector's phase for years and years and years. Nothing has changed as far as the numbers. I had 17 last year. I still have 17. But for the first time in a long time, I'm actually working on 2 of these. This one is currently in project 10 uses. It's the Maybelline Highlight. And this is from a brand called American Beauty, and I am panning it. So I'm excited to be working on these for the first time in what feels like forever, but the numbers are the same, still 17. Hazel did eye these as I was setting them up, and she claimed several for herself for one day in the future. So I have somebody to help me out in about 9 years. Yay. Go on. Get out of here. All right, this is the last of my blush singles. These are my warm, shimmery blushes. Some of them are more peachy. Some of them are just neutral, but they fell in the warm category for one reason or another. This category did go down by 1, but not because I used one up, just because it moved to my bronzer category. So I had 61 last year, and now I have 60. That's still about 55 too many. But, yeah. I did get a chance to work on several of these throughout the year. I hope you guys like how they're opened. I think you can see some of them have been repressed. Some of them are still smashed up and need to be repressed, but a lot of the breakage occurred, hold on, Ron. A lot of the breakage occurred during failed attempts at depotting. That is covering that up. Okay. I'm holding this up here because we're at the corner of my oval table and it just hangs down. Okay, we're just gonna get over that. But what did I use this year? I'm currently trying to hit pan on this shade Don't Flutter Yourself from Wet n Wild, and oh, I knocked it back again. And this shade from CoverGirl is in my winter Shop My Stash. This one from IBY is brand new. IBY. Probably came in an Ipsy bag. It's never been used. Even once. I know my camera won't focus, but I can tell. Brand new. This Lorac shade in Velvet Rope was in Project 10 Uses. This Modern Mandarin shade from MAC was in my Graveyard Project pan, I think. And this shade from So Susan was in my Deck of Panning project. So I'm really happy I got a chance to play around with some of these over the past year. Still so many that I didn't touch. This one is still completely sealed in its wrapper. This one from Ulta is still completely sealed. And this one, the more I'm looking at it, I'm thinking it might need to move to my highlighter category, but I don't know if I've ever used it, so I need to try it and figure that out. If you have this old Maybelline blush in nude, let me know if it works as a blush or a highlight for you. This red shade from Maybelline has been an eyeshadow. It started out as a blush, moved to eyeshadow, and then came back to my blush category after I watched a Wayne Goss video where he demoed applying this under powder foundation and how it gives you this like amazing natural like sunburned flush, because I kind of bought it thinking I would be using it as an eyeshadow. It was on clearance. I thought I was getting quite a deal. But then after I saw that video, I thought, you know, this is a blush and I'm going to keep using it as a blush. But I don't know if I've used it once since I filmed that video trying to recreate Wayne Goss's sunburnt look. So, lots of blush here. I'd love to get around to more of these this year. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it's still January and I'm feeling very optimistic. But we are down 1 to 60 because I moved the Tarte blush bronzer to my bronzer category. Next up is my inventory of blush palettes. I had 6 last year, I have 6 this year. Nothing has changed. Absolutely nothing has changed with any of these. I don't think I touched any of them even once in the past year. Yeah. I really should get back to this Makeup Revolution palette and finish that blush that I hit pan on. It looks really dark and bronzy, but it's actually like a dusty rose. It's coming off a little bit darker on my phone than it is in real life. But, and of course, this palette's never far from my mind. It is an all cream palette. I've seen a lot of project panners put that palette into their Partners in Cream project, and I would love to do that too, but I've been working on the same stinking Maybelline blush for 2 years, so I can't even think about it. But I would love to work on this. You know, obviously it's cream. I want to work on all my cream. I want to work on everything. But I'm keenly aware of that one and its age. But yeah. As of right now, I don't have any plans to put any of these in projects, but I'm hopeful that I might get around to working on them, even if it's just in Project 10 uses. I don't feel like I've really used this Makeup Revolution palette at all, and it's definitely kind of calling my name right now. But we'll see. So I'm still at 6 for this category. Okay, we have moved on to face palettes. My definition of face palettes are any kind of a palette that has a powder with more than one use. So highlight and blush, blush and bronzer, bronzer and highlight, face powder and highlight. You get the idea. If it does more than one job on the face, it goes into the face palette category. I had 24 last year. I have 24 this year. As I'm looking over some of these palettes, there's definitely some things that are standing out to me, like the fact that there are 3 empty pans here. I finished off this Hourglass powder right there and these 2 from the Kat Von D palette. That makes me feel really good. Also, there are 2 cream bronzers in this section. I have a cream bronzer here and a cream bronzer here. So even though my cream bronzer category is at 5, it's actually 7 because I have to finish this cream bronzer as well as this cream bronzer before I could really justify buying any cream bronzers. That's still a relatively low category. I mean, 7 is nothing compared to some of these numbers, but I have to keep that in mind when I'm thinking about my numbers. I put this palette in my winter Shop My Stash, and that middle shade was looking like it was ready to fall out. So I ended up just knocking it into a container because I didn't want it to end up on my bathroom floor. So I still have the powder, I just haven't repressed it. It's just sitting in a container safe and sound. But that's why it looks empty. I didn't pan anything. Am I working on any of these right now? No. None of these are currently in a project. This Ulta sample, not a sample, but it was a gift with purchase, so it's not full size, but it's Ulta Beauty Bronzer Illuminator. I have a feeling that there isn't a ton of product in here, and it's something I could possibly knock out relatively quickly. I love these NARS powders. And this Ofra palette, I paid a stupid amount of money for this Ofra palette. I don't think I actually paid for it. I just think I used my Ulta points to buy it, but still. I have not used this nearly enough for as much money as they charged me for that palette. I also think about this little e.l.f. palette here. I always say this, but e.l.f. products are just shallow. There's a reason why they're so affordable. They don't give you a ton of product. And I should really work on this palette a little bit more too. But yeah, there's some good smells coming from these palettes. I'm smelling yummy stuff. I think it's this Tarte palette that smells so good, but it might be the peach palette too. Everything just smells really good right now. Oh, Hazel needs to smell it now.
So yummy.
Anyways, this is my inventory of face palettes. I am still at 24. That's it. Thank you so much for watching this part of my inventory, and I will see you next time. We're going to be starting with eye products. Thanks for watching. Bye.